Hey, I'm Chris Walker with evangelismcoach.org and churchgreetertraining.com, and today I'm with Reverend Susan. She's been a good friend of mine for several years, and she serves as a pastor of a church in Texas. Well, one Sunday, she had a weekend off and decided to visit another church with her family. She's told me about this, and so I'd like you to hear it so that we can talk about what that might mean for your greeters. So, Susan, welcome, and tell us a little bit about this church visit that you made.
Well, my daughter was caring for a therapeutic dog as part of a school project, and so we decided to take the dog to church to see how we would be received. So we visited a church outside of our tradition on a Saturday night service. And the church was about, I would say, 50 or 60 people. The sanctuary was new, and it had a carpeted area in the back. And so we decided that that would be where we would be with the dog if they would allow us in. But what we did was we left my daughter, the dog, and my husband outside. Then I went inside to try to find the pastor and get permission to bring the dog into the church. So I found the pastor, and he was standing with an elder. And so I went up to them and I said, hi, we're new in town, and my daughter has a therapeutic dog with her, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to allow us to be in the back of your sanctuary. And I did say the dog is very well trained. Well, immediately the elder said, "What kind of therapeutic dog?" And the pastor said, "We would love to have your family."
Quite a difference.
Yes, it was a direct contrast. And I could tell the pastor had a real heart for visitors and really was trying to be welcoming. And the elder was trying to see if we would fit, some kind of criteria that he had for being acceptable.
It was a tone of voice and how he communicated that really said, "I'm not sure about this."
What kind of dog?
It wasn't a curiosity question. It sounds like it wasn't a curiosity question. It sounds like it was more of a gatekeeping question.
Yes, it was. So we came in and we positioned ourselves in the back of the sanctuary. The dog was very well behaved. The pastor actually used us as a sermon illustration. He was talking about the fact that just being in church doesn't make you a Christian. And he said, "We have a very well behaved dog in the back, but I would wager to say that dog's not a Christian." And, so that worked out pretty nicely for him. So after it was over, he came up to us and was chatting with us and said, "Glad we were able to help you out with your sermon." The interesting thing was after the service that people would come up to us and say, "How big is the dog? How much does it weigh? How old is the dog? Oh, I have a dog," or "Dogs love me." And the church members were wanting to talk about themselves in relationship to dogs, but nobody asked us our name. Nobody asked us if we were visitors or if we lived in the town or if we were looking for a church home or what we did for a living, or nobody really noticed us. It was all like, "Oh, let's all chat about the dog."
And so in this case, it was the people after the service that were trying to make a connection.
Yes, they were.
But accidentally, everything was about the dog.
Or them.
Yes. And so it wasn't anything about, "Hi, welcome to town. Hi, I'm so-and-so. How are you?" It wasn't anything about you or your daughter or your family. It was all about the dog.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me ask this question. As Susan and I were talking about this, it dawned on me that sometimes your church greeters will have situations that are unexpected. And so how can you prepare your greeters for surprises, like when an out-of-town visitor chooses to bring a dog? How can you prepare your greeters to be friendlier, like the pastor was in this case, rather than the gatekeeper of an elder? What can you do to help your greeters think through the unexpected and be able to respond accordingly?
I have something on that, Chris. I think that we need to look at the people that come in our church doors and try to imagine how they're feeling and find out about them without any potential benefit to us, and make the focus of the conversation be about them, making them feel cared for.
And that's a good skill to actually train greeters in how to do, because some churches are just too busy, with too many people or whatever, and not everybody can notice a visitor. But greeters, as part of the training, can learn how to notice the visitors that are there and can really work at making those kind of connections.
And what would have been some better questions to ask other than how much does the dog weigh and how old is the dog? What would have been some better questions to ask,
Now, if you're given the greeter training, that's a good question that Susan has raised. Brainstorm in your groups some good questions that can help facilitate some of those conversations. This is Chris Walker with churchgreetertraining.com, and evangelismcoach.org. And thanks for watching us.